Yes, hello everyone. I'm Darren Barnett. For those who don't know me, I'm a GP here in Adelaide, and I guess running through another of these updates on coronavirus, and it's probably a very positive week to be talking about. So hopefully everyone who's tuning in for the first time can find out a little bit that's positive for this week. So update number 8. Developments over the last week. Well, in South Australia, 0 cases. In Australia, less than 100 for the first time for all of April was over 100 per week by a long way. And unfortunately, I guess as a counterpoint to this, in the USA, almost 200,000 new cases this week. And across the world, we've jumped very quickly from 1 million to 2 million to 3.5 million. And unfortunately, 500,000 deaths so far. And on the picture on the screen there, you can see a train track in a tunnel. And for Australia, it looks very much like there's light at the end of that tunnel. Unfortunately, for some places, it actually looks like there's a train coming towards them, is that light. So I guess as we move forward from this week, we really have to think about how do we make sure that that picture is still light at the end of the tunnel, not a train coming at us. And that really moves to, what's the path out of this? And for the kids out there watching, the reason I picked this picture is there's animals hidden in that maze. So see if you can pick out the pictures of the animals, kids. One thing you'll find if you actually study this maze, it's very hard to find a way through it. And again, I picked this picture for that reason, because you'll hear a whole lot of stories, a whole lot of theories, a whole lot of ideas, but no one quite knows how we move forward from here. And that's really the problem we have now, is we actually have to make a way forward. And for Australia, we have to make an Australian way forward, because we're the only ones in this position, really. I guess us and New Zealand are in a position of working out how do we move forward. So I thought I'd move forward again. You've seen this slide before, the Australian endgames, and one of them's changed a little bit. And a few weeks ago when I had this slide up, I was talking about a end game of 60% of Australians having to catch this virus. And I'm glad that end game has disappeared, because the latest data I'm seeing is suggesting that it's not 60%, but if you want herd immunity, you probably need 80% for this virus. So it's a good thing that we're throwing end game number 2 out. So our current end games are, we have a vaccine, we control the spread with vigorous tracing, there's a simple and reliable treatment, or we eradicate it. And I guess what I want to do is look at each of these options and just see what we have to offer. So the vaccine, there's currently several vaccines until their second stage of trials. There's 100 different places that are looking at vaccines, but the reality is it's 12 to 18 months before we're going to see a meaningful vaccine being available. Controlled spread, or suppression's the other word that people are using for this. And maybe that's the best we can hope for. And on the next slide, I'll go into a little bit about how we can help with that. Simple and reliable treatment. Well, I think there's about 120 drugs that have now been tried, and all sorts of other treatments, and I've seen nothing yet that comes through as an inspiring option to get things to settle faster. And eradication, well, that's ideal, but is it realistic? And do we actually want Australia, and maybe Australia and New Zealand, to need to stay for 1 year, 2 years, maybe longer, as 2 separate islands where the only possibility is for us to go to New Zealand, New Zealand to come to us? Or even more so, for South Australia, Northern Territory and Western Australia, who are closer to eradication than Victoria, New South Wales and Queensland, do we want to keep those borders shut for months or longer? So really, it's there as an option, but at the moment, it's not realistic yet. So coming back to what I said about suppression or controlling the spread, probably everyone's heard about the CoronaSafe app or the COVIDSafe app. It's very easy to download. I need to show my face to my phone or it won't show. On the App Store, if you type in COVID, it brings it up. It took me all of 20 seconds to download it. So I guess we'd be encouraging everyone who has a phone to download it, leave it running in the background. And privacy issues, I don't really understand, but I think if you're on Facebook, your privacy is probably more at risk from Facebook than it is from this app. And if we want to find a path through this, then we've already talked at length over the last several sessions about us individually playing a role, and downloading this app and using it is another way that we can individually show a role, the same way as if we hand wash, if we stay away from people when we're sick, and if we're careful with what we do, this is another way we can add to that. And for my last slide and Darren's tip, as we try to find a path out of this, really we have to be patient. And there's two options really. One is that we're patient, or the other is we might become a patient. Because if we catch this, then we're on the other side. So I've got a little picture there, but more importantly, I've got a scripture for you. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And we don't quite know what the end will be for this. Unfortunately, the scientists are still trying to work it out, and we're making it up as we go at this point. But as individuals, as a church, as a fellowship, we need to just continue doing what the politicians and the medical leaders ask us to do. And as we work together as a team through this, we'll find a way through it. I'd like to leave my presentation there. And I might get everyone